We did a Northern Ireland tour in 77. We had shootings. We had a couple of rocket attacks, loads of riots, a few IEDs, and this guy been the captain, beaten up and left her dead in the middle of the road. At 14 3/4, you could go and apply to join the army. So I did. So I went over to St Albans.
14 3/4.
14 3/4, yeah. So I went across to St Albans to do the entrance test. And funny thing, I failed that miserably too.
You do all right on these tests, don't you?
I do, yeah. I mean, pressure. It's pressure. And the recruiting sergeant, he says to me, "Son, if you can't learn to read and write proper, you ain't going to be able to get in the army. I suggest you go and have a word with yourself and come back after you've done a bit of learning." Oh, Christ. So that weekend I went home. I went to a real dark place, had a real strong talking to myself.
Yeah.
Went back into school on a Monday morning and I went to every single class. Half of the teachers thought I was a new student. I used to bunk off all the time.
Who's this geezer?
I know. So we used to go in the morning, get registered and then piss off.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah.
So I started knuckling down, and for about 6 months I really worked hard. I mean, I did all the homework. I really worked hard, and went back about 6 months later with a mate, and walked in the recruiting office. Recruiting sergeant said, "Oh, remember you? Have you done so much?" I said, "I have." So he sat us down in this room, gave us a test each. He said, "I've just got to pop out and do something quick. So get on with the test, lads." Anyway, filled it out. My mate was giving us some of the answers. And I managed to scrape through. On the 5th of August 1974, I turns up at the depot of the Queen's Division and started the training. Now, we started with 3 big platoons. There was, I don't know, close on sort of 200 or 300 kids.
Really?
There was a big intake. And, when we finally passed out, there was 25 of us left in our platoon.
Really? So that's quite a high attrition, isn't it?
It was a high
attrition. I don't think it's that as bad as that now, because obviously they try and filter out most of it before it gets there, don't they? Do you know what I mean?
They nurture you a little bit more now.
Yeah.
Because I'd been through the Sea Cadets and the Army Cadets, I had a good idea what's coming.
Yeah.
And I loved it. It was brutal, don't get me wrong, it was tough. I mean,
especially for what were you, 16 years old?
Yeah, 16.
That's what I'm saying, 16 years old, that's a shock to your system.
It wasn't so much because I'd been away an awful lot. I mean, I was never a home boy.
No.
I was never a mummy's boy. but yeah, from that point of view, I really enjoyed the training, and we did our 24 weeks, and then we went over to the adult training and did the last 12 weeks of the adult. We joined them at the...
So where were they? Where was the adult training?
That was at the depot as well.
Oh, okay, so it was all at Bassingbourn?
Yeah, so it was all at Bassingbourn.
Oh, okay,
so
nice.
we had junior soldiers there and sort of adult soldiers.
Okay.
So went through training, passed out training, and I got posted to the 2nd Battalion, the Royal Anglian Regiment. Poachers.
The poachers, there you go.
First posting, Münster in Germany.
There you go, a drinking post.
Oh, Jesus Christ, yeah. that was a culture shock.
Yeah.
It was a drinking culture back then. And, I was there we got there in the September of 75. We came out in June 76. We came back to Gillingham in Kent.
Okay, yeah.
And although we had a 2-year posting in Gillingham, I think we spent about 6 months there.
Really?
So we was always away on exercises. We did a Northern Ireland tour in 77.
That must have been punchy. Was it punchy?
Was it ever?
Come on, tell us a little bit about Northern Ireland 77, because that's before my time.
Well, A Company were posted to the Ballymurphy.
Okay.
And the Ballymurphy at the time was really hot. We had some sort of major incident pretty much most every day. We had shootings. We had a couple of rocket attacks.
Yeah.
One of the rocket attacks was really funny because we used to have 2 Saracens, and the post office van used to come in to go up to what we call Kelly's Corner, which was the White Rock Road and Springfield Road, and the post office there. So I had to be escorted in. And this RPG was fired from the bull ring. missed the post office van, hit the wall of this house. The wall of this house fell in, and a bloke was in bed and landed on the front garden. Like,
cheers for that.
Yeah, that was ever so funny. A riot kick off like that instantaneously.
They're scary things, right? So I did one in Londonderry years ago, and it's like on that baseline, you are like,
yeah,
especially once the old petrol bombs start coming in.
Well, I was on a baton gun.
Nice. That's what you want is the batting gun.
So we got this football match. Everybody's in the cookhouse watching football. Unbeknownst to us, there was a riot outside, and they were stoning the camp. But one of the rocks must have cut the wire from the ops room to the cookhouse, because nobody knew anything out till somebody came in and shouted, "We're being attacked! Crash out!" So we grabbed their kit, grabbed my baton gun, and we went out the back of the Moyard entrance, which is the back entrance, and we came round the side, and all these Herberts are throwing rocks into the camp and everything. And all we saw as we came down, we got the order to fire, but we had a problem. Normally you have to fire 25 grain at these buggers, and they just catch. We run out of those.
So you had the old.
So we had the white brick ones, the 45 grain.
Yeah, the 45 grain.
So as we've come down, they've seen us and started to run away. I got the order to fire, so I fired this thing, and it's bounced off the ground, and he's got this lad right in the back of the leg. And as he's running away, his legs have overtaken him. He's landed on his Swede. The snatch boys have gone out and grabbed the leg apiece, and they're running back with him, and he's flailing about. His head's banging, his arms are flailing about. All the back end of his head split open anyway. They nicked him. But that was one of the incidents. It was really funny because
busy old time then.
You just see the round, and it was like slow motion.
Once it's hit the floor, it can go anywhere as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a bit of luck involved in that one.
We were shot at once. We were going out in sort of 4-man bricks as a 12-man patrol. We came down out of the Moyard down into Springhill Avenue, and when we were in training, we used to change sides. And it just change and we swap sides. 2 months we've been out there. I'd always been on the front right. Guy called Alan, who's a section commander, was on the front left. I had a guy called Terry behind me and Chris behind him. As we're coming down Springhill Avenue, we'd only just come round the corner. He said, "Change." What? So we swapped sides. We got about 100 metres down. 2 rounds from not an Armalite, the other one.
AK-47?
No, a smaller one than that.
That stubby thing that they used to.
Yeah.
I know the one. Anyway,
we received that because I fired 2 rounds back. Yeah. The first round must have whizzed past his head because he dropped the weapon. The second one went through a stained glass window of Corpus Christi Church.
He got away then, I'll take it.
He got away, but we retrieved the weapon afterwards. But it got Alan in the groin and went out for his backside. Now he sent the contact report. Hello, this is 13 Bravo. Contact, Springhill Avenue. Send Starlight. I've been shot in the arse. Out. We got crashed out to Kelly's Corner. There was a bit of a ruck going on up there. So we went up there, and as we arrived, they started throwing stones at us. So we made our way around the back of this house, and as we were going over the fence, my mate Paddy was in front of me, and they commandeered a what's name? He caught most of it. I got blown over and landed on me head, got a big lump on my head. Yeah. They dragged him off to hospital. I was out on the ground for another 6 hours with concussion.
With your helmet bouncing off you.
Oh, we didn't wear helmets. We weren't wearing helmets at the time.
So
we had a choice when we went out whether we were on flak jackets or not. Yeah. Depends on what sort of patrol we were doing, whether we wore them or not, because we could move around a lot quicker without them on. Yeah. So we got blown up. Yeah, and I saw my first dead body back then. Yeah. That was a rough time.
Who was that?
Just some Irish guy up in the. We had a Protestant area. Yeah. Just next to the Ballymurphy, and this guy was been kneecapped and beaten up and left her dead in the middle of the road.
Really? Yeah, done a number on him then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's a bit of a. How old were you then?
19.
Okay, so yeah. It's
Yeah.
a lot to be taken on board, isn't it? But
It was.
you do grow up, don't you? You have to grow up.
I had my 19th birthday out there.
Yeah. I think I had my 19th in Londonderry. Do you know what I mean? It was like there were so many tours of Ireland in those days, wasn't it? It was like you were always out there, weren't you?
Company commander called me in and said, "Did I want a posting?" Okay, yeah, where to? He said, "You're going to Sennybridge to the Army Handgliding Centre." Okay, what's hang gliding?
I'll have some of that.
Yeah. So anyway, that October, just before we pulled out, I got posted to the Army Handgliding Centre at Sennybridge Camp. And I did 3 years hang gliding.
3 years hang gliding. That's just like, wow.
Yeah,
I mean, nothing like that ever happened to me, I'm going to tell you.
I didn't even know what it was when I arrived. And day one, this guy, Captain Taggart, had set this thing up.
Yeah.
He was a REME officer. He died a couple of years after, while I was there. I was actually flying one night when he party company for his hang glider died in front of us. Yeah, it was horrendous.
Yeah, what did he do, fall off it?
Yeah, basically what he'd done, he was testing somebody's glider for him. So he clipped in with his harness and he was too low, so he clipped in above the hang loop. And I'd taken off beforehand and I'm flying up and down. It was Hay Bluff. I was beating up and down the ridge.
Yeah.
Lovely evening flight. And he took off and we were sort of doing wing overs together at each end of this ridge, and he came over one and it stripped the hang loop that he was on, and he fell about 200 metres, bounced off rock.
You see him go?
Yeah. So I landed as quick as I
Put
could.
yours down as quick as you could and go.
And there was 2 other students there as well that were up there with us that evening. There's nothing we could do for him. Yeah, that was a sad moment.
Yeah, I bet, yeah.
So I turns up down at Duke of York headquarters with about 100 odd other blokes. We're all in this big hall, and there's this little jock RSM there. He said, "Lads, listen up." So the whole place went quiet. It was fairly quiet anyway because they were all sort of cagey.
Yeah.
And he said, "I've got some advice for you boys." This is in his jock accent. I can't do that.
No, yeah. Swerve it if possible, or it comes out really bad, I'm going to say.
He says, "Lads, all those that smoke, put your hands up." First, put your hands up. All the yous that don't take sugar, put your hands up. He said, "Right, those that smoke, give up. Those that don't take sugar, start." And that was it. And then we got split down into sort of, I think, 3 different groups.
Yeah.
One group went out, run round the track. That was a laugh.
So he's a civvy now. You'd got out, and though you were applying for 2-1.
I'd literally just got out,
Yeah.
or just about to get out, because I applied before I got out while I was on terminal leave. You had to do 12 times round the track to do the mile and a half, like.
Yeah.
And you had to do it in under 10 minutes. So clever bugger here. Got round in about 8.5 minutes, 9 minutes. He said, "Go round again." I ended up doing about 3 extra laps. And then we went in, done some paperwork, and then we went in to see the doctor and all the rest of it. And then they told you, go and report to whichever squadron you was going to. And I was at C Squadron over at Hitchin.
Okay.
So it turns up at Hitchin on the drill nights. And I did that for, about 8 months.
Okay.
And then I broke. I smashed up my knee, and that was the end of SAS career, really. I struggled with civics. I really, really struggled.
You won't be the only one who ever says that in this room, I'm going to tell you.
With just civic work mentality.
Johnny's cringing over there because he's a civic through and through, but yeah. He struggles with me as much as I struggle with him.
So I've been on this regular reserve for about 3 years, and they sent us a letter. Did I want to sign on for another 4? I thought, turn up once a year, get £100 just for nothing, really.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, sent that back. Then they sent me mobilisation papers.
Yeah.
Yeah, report to the Depot of the Queen's Division for 2 weeks star training. I thought, yeah, that'll be all right. Turn up at the depot in the naffy every night with a few jars. Nothing like it. We turned up, there was like a mobilisation package. They took all their civvies off us, upscaled our kit, stuck us on the back of 4-tonners off to Stanford.
Wow.
2 weeks converting to the new respirators, the new SA-80.
SA-80 you'd have had, yeah, all the
and all the latest techniques that they were using back then. Everybody that joins the unit goes on the course, which is the military psychological operations course.
Tell me a little bit about that, because it's a world I know nothing of. So you're sort of like you're teaching me today.
So
I became
I became a purveyor of propaganda, lies, and deception.
It's a bit of me, that I'm going to tell you.
So basically,
the leaflets. These are leaflets that are obviously going to be dropped into strongholds to try and sway people's opinions.
all manner of leaflets. But I guess the classic one was the first Gulf War.
Yeah.
Where we produced millions of these safe conduct passes.
Okay.
That they dropped out of aircraft.
Yeah.
On Iraqi positions. So
saying to you, if you're a soldier and you've got one of those,
yeah,
you're not going to get shot. If you haven't got one of those, you're fair game.
Yeah, pretty much.
So basically, would you sit round at the table and say, right, we've got this going on in Iraq, we need to get in here, we need to do that? Would you have a sort of like an aim given to you?
Yeah.
Or would you sort of like identify that aim and then work out the...
Well, what you get is the commander's mission. So whatever mission you're going on, whatever operation you're on, you'll have the commander's mission, and he will have a mission that he needs to achieve.
Yeah.
And PSYOPS comes in and looks at his mission and looks how they can support his mission with a campaign of informing the target audience.
Yeah.
Of
what it is you want. What it is you want to get across.
Yeah. So basically, psychological operations, all it is directed at a target audience.
Because it's not just leaflets, is it? You have those great big radio packs that you can stick on and all that sort of stuff. Is that within your remits?
Yeah, I'll come on to that. But,
good. I'll be enjoying this.
But basically, it's a target audience to change an attitude and a behaviour.
Okay.
And that's the crux of what psychological...
But it's a difficult thing to do, because these places are hostile. They're a completely different sort of like organisation and belief to ourselves, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? So there's a tall order to go into somewhere like that and persuade them, isn't it?
Absolutely. Our mission had changed to the Serb population in Kosovo that were being targeted by the ethnic Albanians. So most of my job when I got there was directed at the ethnic Albanians. And while we were there was the PSYOPS or support element, and then there was media ops, and they were two separates.
Yeah.
The media ops had a secure fit FFR Land Rover with some secret radio kit in there and a sat phone and mobile phones. And what they used to do is they used to get the journalists, and they would be the liaison between the journalist and the commander on the ground to give them an update on what incident's going on.
So you've got the propaganda, which is what that fairly is, going back to the UK, which is eyes looking in on our side, but you're also trying to put propaganda the other way.
One of the worst things I went out to was a couple of the mass graves. And that,
it was unpleasant stuff, wasn't it? They were doing some hideous stuff out there, weren't they?
I mean, that
not that well publicised back home, to be honest. People don't realise the extent of the damage and the carnage that was being seen over there.
So I had to bear witness at some of these mass graves, and it wasn't nice. And that sort of haunts me a little bit to this day.
Yeah.
So that was that tour, and I ended up doing a second tour. I backed onto, I did Agricola 2 and Agricola 3, and then I came out in the October when the Marines came in on Agricola 4. I was up on JMC, which is the Joint Maritime course in Faslane.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a support operation. We would, when we got there, we found out what it was. It was a massive exercise, and they got sort of 2 carrier groups, an American one and Illustrious, coming up either side of the country and all converging on the Hebrides. And we were working in the first week. We were in the Maritime Ops Centre, and I was co-located with the SF cell. And the second week, we were going to go out and work off of HMS Illustrious. So we only had a team of 3 of us on this. And over the first weekend, we got extracted to go to Kosovo, to go to Macedonia.
Yeah.
So the 3 of us extracted, left the support to this operation, this exercise, to go to Macedonia. So we drove down over the weekend. Monday morning, me and another guy drove up to Chilwell, got mobilised. Tuesday, we went into main building, got a full brief on what was going on in Macedonia at the time. And then a couple of weeks later, we flew out to Macedonia. Our kit had been put on wagons on the ships at Marchwood, and we went down to Thessalonica to pick the wagons up, brought them up to Skopje. We were part of Task Force Harvest.
Okay.
We were out there 3 weeks before the old Blair Assault Brigade turns up.
Yeah.
And we were down there with our cameras and stuff, getting pictures and imagery of Barney White Spanner and his Blair Assault team coming in to Skopje. And then I did a bit of work with the paras up in some of the villages and that, where they were collecting weapons. So one of the messages was NATO, the mission continues. And they put that out, and that was a first on RDS radios. So it was deemed a success from that point of view. Off the back of that, then we got a lot more funding and some new equipment identified. During that, 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
5 months later, I'm flying into Kabul thinking, what have I done to myself this time? I did 5 months in Kabul, and predominantly my role was putting together the ISAF news. We came up with this concept of what we called the ISAF news, which is a tri-language newspaper directed at the local population. So it was in English, Pashto and Dari.
Yeah.
And that was another nightmare. We told them that we used to work with Adobe Creative Suite, and we said that we needed the Middle East version of it. So they give us a standard.
So your translations are all right and all that sort of stuff?
Well, no, the Middle East gives you the opportunity to work in Arabic script. So,
okay, yeah. That's what I'm saying. So all the writing's correct, and because it doesn't take much. It's all punctuated. It's all in the punctuation, the Arabic text, isn't it? So if you get it wrong, it can completely mean something else.
And to add complications into it, then you've got Pashto fonts, which are quite a lot different, and there's quite a few more fonts than the Arabic ones. So rather than give us what we needed to do the job with, we had the basic version, which didn't work. What we had to do, we got an old Windows laptop, bastardised it and put Arabic windows onto it, so the interpreters could write out the Pashto and the Dari script, print it out onto bits of paper. We had to cut it out, then we had to paste it up onto a big sheet. A nightmare. Absolute bloody nightmare.
So you must photocopying that in order to get it rolled out on a proper print run? Yeah. That's insane, isn't it? For the sake of somebody going to tell you what, they actually need that. But in the scheme of things, that programme's not going to cost a lot of money either, is it? Do you know what I mean?
£745. I know, because I got someone to buy it for us and send it out. So we got that loaded on and made the whole process so much easier because they sent out some new kit. So that was, for me, it was a really, really good tour. I managed to get out. I used to go out on the ground quite a bit. Then we handed over on the 20th of June to the Turks. And the Turks took over from us. They got all brand new kit and everything like that. And we left a load of our stuff there for them to use. That was quite fun. The Germans down at Warehouse Camp, they had a small PSYOPS unit there. Invited the other PSYOPS units in Kabul down for a barbecue on this Sunday before we flew out, and invited the Turks. The Turks went fairly hungry, actually. Fortunately, there was some salad Germans aren't culturally.
No, it would have been pig, and more pig, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it was funny, but the Turks did take it in good spirit.
Yeah.
Then I got mobilised then to go to Iraq.
Okay.
So I did an Iraq tour in 2003.
Similar sort of thing? Newspapers or?
Yeah, no, I had a different role. We had a campaign project where we had to come up with a campaign to enhance the perception of the Iraqi police service in the eyes of the locals.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Couldn't hide into nowhere with that one.
Bet, yeah.
To that end, we had to go out and visit lots of police stations, lots of police chiefs, and get a feeling for how they felt and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So we always used to work it where we'd go up to the Dutch, do the work there, come back to the Italians, spend the night with the Italians.
You get a decent scoff, innit?
Decent scoff.
I know what you're doing, mate. I'm
and a drop of wine.
Yeah.
So and spend the next day doing some work with the Italians. Probably spend another night there before going back to Basra.
Yeah.
The only really dodgy time I had out there was we flew into Alamara.
Okay.
And I was out on patrol in Al Kabir. That's the village or the little town that the 6 military police were killed.
Yeah.
That was a horrible feeling. You just sensed it. It was horrible.
It was going to go wrong up there.
And
was that before or after that incident?
That was after.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were in that village, and we feared for our lives in that.
Yeah.
And that was the one and only time I went up there. 3/4 of the way through that tour, 4 months into the tour, my wife at the time was diagnosed with cancer. So Friday afternoon, I get a call to go and see the Padre, which I thought was bloody odd. So I went to see the Padre. He broke the news to me. 24 hours later, I'm at home. Worst weekend of my entire life. Monday morning, we went to the Wooden Spoon unit at Stoke Mandeville, and she started her treatment.
Chemo type stuff, yeah?
Chemo, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, cut a long story short, she got clear of it, and they said if you're clear for 2 years, you'll be okay. Year and 11 months later, came back far more aggressively, and she didn't make it. So that was on the 10th of November 2006.
Well, that's hard.
That was really tough.
Yeah.
What made it even tougher, the year before, on the 11th of November 2005, my best mate took his life.
Oof.
And, yeah, that shook me to the core.
I bet, yeah. No.
So, moving on then, 4 years later, I got together with my best mate's wife. We'd known each other for, 25, 30 years. And we've been married now for just coming up to 14 years.
Wow.
So, I mean, they were best mates, her and my wife and me and my mate. So, yeah, and we were having a pretty good life.